So, welcome to Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Explore careers in financial and retirement services with CareerForce MN, CareerForce Minnesota. So glad to have all of you here today. This is our opportunity to hear from a couple of recruiters within the industry to know what they're hiring for right now and give you tips about how to apply and anything else about the industry that you might want to know about. Companies that we have joining us today are Western and Southern Financial Group, Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, and Principal Financial Group. So glad to have all of them here today. You know, I do like to point out that Minnesota is ranked really pretty high in the United States for the number of financial services companies per capita. When you look at all of the Minnesota Fortune 1000, the top 1000 Fortune companies, we've got U.S. Bancorp, United Health Group, Ameriprise, Thrivent, Securian, Federated Mutual Insurance, as well as Wells Fargo here today, Principal, and Western Southern, and a whole host of more than that. JP Morgan Chase, I know, is branched into the Minnesota territory. So really, if you're in this industry, you're in a good place in the United States for this. You can find so many details about the industry on DEED's Department of Employment and Economic Development labor market information site. And I've got one of the listings, the resources that I used at the bottom of the screen. As you're going about your job search, it's always nice to have a source to look for more information. And one source that I like to point out is the Explore Careers area within careerforcemn.com to the Explore Careers button on the mid part of the page. Scroll down a little bit. And then in the green area there where it says Explore Careers, type in the type of position you are looking for, whether that's a sales agent or commodities or a financial analyst or retirement services. And then when you do that, it will give you, the closest hit to what you've posted and give you an entire page of demand expectations, what the 10-year occupation growth looks like. Many of the occupations that I looked at when I was prepping for this presentation are really showing at least 7% growth over the next 10 years. And all things considered, that's a really pretty good number. And then there's anticipated wages, lists of associations that might exist in the United States or in Minnesota to support you, in that industry. And the ability to sort that information too by region. If you're not in the metro, you're in Northwest or Southeast, go to that page. So please use all of those resources, and I'll kind of swing back to this at the end too. But at this point, I would like to invite Ray Brow of Western and Southern to tell us about his company and tell us about the financial industry, because I know he's had a lot of experience and has a lot to share with us. Ray, over to you. Oops, hold on. We're going to get you unmuted, Ray. Okay, there you go.
Okay, how's that? Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks, Liz, for having me today. It's been a great pleasure to work with you, and I thoroughly enjoy talking to people at all times. So at least when Liz told me I had 10 minutes, I lost a little sleep last night trying to close it all in 10 minutes, but I'll give it my best shot. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have been in the industry. This is my 38th year. I haven't decided yet if I really like it or not. So I have been through a lot of different scenarios, been through a lot of different companies. I really enjoy what I do, and I think it's fun when you enjoy what you do because it really doesn't seem like it's work. It seems like you're just helping people, and it seems to me like the weeks go faster, and time does fly when you really enjoy something. So I can tell you a little bit about Western and Southern. Very high quality company, AM Best rated, A plus. We have, if you go down to your left, we are a mutual holding company. So the difference is we are not publicly traded, and so we don't have any pressure to meet quarterly earnings. I think if we scroll down a little bit, we can see the heritage. We started in 1888, so we have 132 years under our belt. And we've been through a lot. We have been through a lot of different experiences. We have a lot of stability. We know what works and what doesn't work. We're a recognized Fortune 500 company, and we're glad to be part of that. And probably the best thing is we have more than double the capital to asset ratio of our top competitors. So we are in it to make sure that when somebody needs us, that they will have everything in place to get the job done. And that's very important in today's world. If you look back the last 10 years, it was really important the last 10 to 20 years when a lot of institutions were having real trouble in the early to mid 2000s. Let's see, let's go down. There we go. So if we were to look at the balance of what we really do, we have life insurance and annuities, and we're creating a balance to support our strength. So we know that life policies have mortality risk, annuities have longevity risk, and our goal is to have both product lines to balance your portfolio and support our strength. So I think that's a little bit about the company. I'm going to go forward and talk a little bit about, I thought I'd spend a little bit about what makes our most effective financial reps. So what do we look for when we hire people? I would say the most effective ones would be focused. They are effective communicators. So I have worked with people from all different backgrounds. I'd have to say it's not that crucial whether you have a financial background or not. We will train you in that area. I think what's more important is that you're a good communicator. So that is probably paramount in our industry. And you're a natural networker. So you enjoy talking to people. You'll like to find out where they're from. You like to find out where they've worked, et cetera, et cetera. You're a natural networker. And you also are results driven. This is a results driven business. And I think more importantly, it's about education. This is a type of career where you're really educating the people that you're working with. And when you do that, you get rewarded. And probably the most important thing is it's an ethical and trustworthy type of career. People outside of their kids, they are enduring something that they work very hard for, their money, and they want to make sure that it's well taken care of. They want to make sure that it's in a good spot and you have a good company and good person to work with. I would say another trait would be resilient. There's a lot of things that will get you, kind of negative in whether it's talking about the markets or about what's not going to work. I think you have to let that fly off your back. If it bothers you to talk about finances, then maybe that's not the right industry for you. So you have to be resilient, and you have to think entrepreneurial. You have to think like this is your business, and you have to think about if I were to open up a business today, what would I do to gain clients? So I think you have to always be thinking about that, because those are the traits that our most effective financial reps have. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about why Western and Southern. I think for the reasons I just spoke, it's the strength, it's the foundation. What we're really trying to accomplish here is getting people to help spread the word that you need to be diversified, you need to be with some strong companies, and you need to make sure you got your retirement in line. That's a big deal. Most people, they don't retire because they're afraid they're going to run out of money. And so we have to put them at rest. We have to make sure that we answer the questions. We have to do our due diligence. We have to talk about where they're at. And so we have a number of great products to help with these matters, whether it's life insurance or annuities or health insurance. Today, health insurance is one of the main reasons why people do not retire. It's a scary thing. It's going up every year. It's more and more co-payments, deductibles. So we address all those issues. And some of the other things that we also talk about are disability. If you are disabled, could you afford to stay where you're at? Could you afford to have people take care of you? These are all issues that come up, so we address them as they come up. And another issue, I think, is long-term care. Long-term care isn't talked about enough. It's certainly a good proponent of our financial plan. And I think it has to be, because you don't know what the odds are, but you could need long-term care at any age. It doesn't matter. There's no guarantee that you would not be in an accident tonight and need long-term care. So we talk about a lot of different things. We talk about things, we make people a little bit nervous because we have to. That's our job. And so we have a lot of the good products necessary to get the job done. So those are kind of the things that we deal with. And of course, we deal with finances. We deal with working with people's dreams. So what we want to do is make sure that we get them talking about their dreams, because that's really what is your next step. And so what we do, we build a nice financial plan for them. And every time we get together with them, we want to make the financial plan a little bit better. So we are really about financial plans and getting people on the right track.
You know, Ray, as you're talking, I'm wondering all of the qualities. Do you need a degree, like a bachelor's degree, to do this? Or would this be something if a person has had a couple of years, like a degree, can they get into this business?
I have seen, Liz, I have seen people from all walks of life succeed in this business. And I think the important thing is that you have a strong desire to help people. And the financial part, we can train you on. We can get you the necessary tools to have the knowledge in that area. But as I mentioned before, the important thing is to have a strong desire to help people. And you really have to have that first and foremost, because it is a long-term type of commitment. And I think what you really have to do is get to know your customer, and you have to know where they're at, and you have to know their pitfalls. You have to know their dreams. You have to know as much as you can about them. And I think because of that, there's really no one way to have the background for that. I think life experiences is a big deal. I think if you can relate to some people in some way, and I think if you can visualize yourself in their shoes for a moment, I think that's the beginning of a great career. You have to really empathize with people, and you have to really get them to the next level, because what their next level is maybe not the same as everybody that they work with, or maybe everybody in their family or class or whatever. So you have to find out where they're at. And then I think you have to do a good job at getting them to their next level. And that's why we make it such a big thing to really work with financial plans, because I think the financial plan and your balance sheet is pretty much a measuring tool that we use. So we kind of start with there. And then if I were to also look at it, probably the best thing about the career is you control your earnings. You can control what you make. I work with a lot of different people in this industry, and so it's not about how much you're going to make. It's about what's your plan of helping people, because you can kind of control that with all the tools that we have. We have a great calendar system where if you want to do better in your career, well, I'll just work with you to fill up your calendar, because it is a numbers game. You have to work with a number of people. And actually, interesting enough, the pandemic has actually made it easier, I think, because I do a lot of these webinars, but I also do a lot of work with people over the phone. And so from what I can see, it's actually helped our business, because people don't want to meet necessarily in person, but that's why with technology, we don't have to meet in person anymore. Of course, we're looking forward to meeting back in person again. I think it's essential. I think it's just a human need, and I think that we all are looking forward to that for sure. But in the meantime, it is very efficient to do WebExes. I find it kind of more enjoyable myself, because I like the fact that it's very time efficient. And so that part, I think you have to look at it that way. But we have a great benefit structure. All of our people are W-2 employees. We take care of our clients, and we've got a great package. So we can get into more of that in detail. But let's see.
And then how do you,
Sure.
when you start off with leads, I know eventually a person would have to kind of generate their own leads, but a new person, what do you do?
Well, I look back to when I started, and I didn't have any leads. I think basically this is an education game. So what you have to do is you have to figure out, well, who do I want to help and who do I want to educate? So to me, that's the fun part. I don't see any issues with that for most people. I mean, most people, we start with the people we know, but we don't necessarily want to sell to them. In fact, I don't like to sell to people that are necessarily close to me, because it's very difficult, and it can be very difficult. So I think more importantly, we teach people how to get into other networks that maybe they want to be into, but they're not, they're not their neighbors, or not their friends, et cetera, et cetera. It's more about trying to develop a need and trying to help people along the way. And so we do it more with education. So I'm not too worried about people getting a good start, because that's the fun part for me. For me, it's marketing. It's about, well, okay, who do you want to work with? I think the biggest difference is I like the fact that we can work with whoever we want. We just have to get their attention and educate them. And I think the difference is when you're in a retail situation, you have to work with everybody that comes in the door. So the difference is that's a huge difference. And when I can work with people that I want to work with, now it's a little bit different. And like I said, I'm not too worried about the marketing end of it. That's for me the fun part.
You know what? This is all great. And I know for sure we could talk for another 15 minutes. Unfortunately, we've got to move on.
Sure.
Thank you, Ray. And
Thank you, Liz.
Ray's email is in the slide, ray.brow@wslife.com. If people are interested in and have more questions, can they contact you?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Liz.
Great. Thank you for being here. Let's move on and hear a different part of the industry. US Bank with Melissa Cole. Melissa, yep, you're unmuted there. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? I had myself double muted, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me all right.
Yep, we can.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, hi, everyone. I'm really looking forward to getting the chance to chat with you and share some information about US Bank. I have been with US Bank for 7.5 years. And in that time, I've been both in our branch banking as a banker and also a branch manager in a couple of different states across the country. And then for about the last 4 years, I have been in recruiting, supporting various lines of business from branch banking to business, mortgage, and our newest partner, Italic. So lots of exposure to different pieces of the company and lots to share with you because of that. I love working for U.S. Bank because we are really able to help bring people in as recruiters and be able to have the experience with our company that I've had with the personal and professional growth. So I'm excited to tell you more about the company, and this quote here on the slide is really a favorite of mine because it summarizes a few of my favorite things from my experience of working with U.S. Bank so far. So in every role I've had, I have truly honestly felt empowered to do the right thing for customers, act as though I am part of a huge team, whether that be, as a branch or as a human resources recruiting team, and also really be involved in my community and give back to the community where I not only work but also live. And on our next slide, I can share a few facts about just our company. So we have approximately 18 million customers that are across our footprint. We have 2,700 branches, 4,400 ATMs, and we have about 76,000 employees. Those employees are from a variety of different business lines, which we'll cover here in a couple of minutes. But the coolest thing about U.S. Bank that I wanted to mention is that we are actually headquartered in Minneapolis, and we are the 5th largest bank in the company, or in the country. On our next slide, I will share a little bit more about U.S. Bank on kind of a higher level. We have been voted one of the world's most ethical companies several times, and our one bank approach really truly provides great customer service. So we call it U.S. Bank One Bank, and really what that means is that all of our employees are encouraged to collaborate across different lines of business to make sure that every need the customer has is being conveniently met by us working internally to partner with each other. And then also on the slide, you can see just a couple of Q1 results for the company, a net income efficiency ratio, and all of that good news as well. So when you think of U.S. Bank or when you think of any large retail bank, so this is probably what you think of. You think of our brick and mortar branches that are out standing by the road, that have parking lots. And so one of the things I wanted to touch on is we have a lot of retail banks. We have a lot of branches, as I just covered. But as a company, we are a lot more than that, not only within retail banking, but also within other lines of business that we offer opportunities in. Here on this next slide, it's going to show a lot more information about what some of those lines of business are. So in addition to our consumer and business banking, which is where those retail branches roll up through, we also have other pieces of our business that roll up into these large departments here. So for example, you can see human resources, which is one of the piece of the department that I roll up into personally. We also have corporate finance, we have legal, we have technology and operation services, just to name a couple. So within each one of these big umbrellas of lines of business that we have, there are just a ton of opportunities for different types of roles, whether, sales, operational, legal, lots of opportunity to find something that's a good fit for you, regardless of kind of what your passion is working within the financial industry. And then I had mentioned that we are headquartered in Minneapolis, and so I wanted to take the chance to really dive into some specific stats on U.S. Bank just in Minnesota as a state. So we have over 1 million customers in Minnesota. Within that state, we have 14,000 employees working amongst those lines of business that I showed. We have 132 retail branches and just shy of 560 ATMs that can help our customer service more conveniently as well. And one of the things that is really cool that I wanted to point out on this slide is that in Minnesota specifically, our employees have used 151,000 volunteers hours to be able to give back to organizations in communities, specifically where they're working and living in Minnesota. It's one of the pieces of U.S. Bank that I love is the community involvement. And so I think that number is really cool and just representing what we do specifically within the state of Minnesota. I mentioned previously as well that we have been voted the world's most ethical company. And then on the slide, you can also see a few other great things that U.S. Bank has been recognized for over the years, including Best Employer for Diversity and Best Place to Work for Disability Inclusion and LGBT equality. So some of these stats, they list the most recent year, but several of them are year over year. We have great recognition for some of these categories, which we're really proud of. Another area on our next slide that we are really proud of is our support for veterans. and we are, again, for this, continuously recognized as a top supporter of veterans and military families. We have more than one business resource group internally aimed at supporting veterans as well, that really provides veterans a chance to be involved with other veterans and other veteran families or military families within the organization. They host a lot of great events as well to be able to just meet people around the country and get more involved with the company in that way that's on the personal side as well. To tell a little bit more about the diversity and equity and inclusion pieces that we have, in addition to the BRG or business resource group that I had mentioned about veterans, we also have 100 or more other BRGs that let employees connect with each other. Those could be anything from groups for women, LGBT, as I had mentioned, veterans, lots of different opportunities to connect with each other through those BRGs. We are very proud, as I had mentioned as well, to be involved in our communities, and all employees across every line of business are highly encouraged to volunteer in their communities, which is just a really neat way for the company to let us give back to those places where we live and be able to have a strong impact and help represent our company in such a great way locally. To tell you a little bit more about, just the opportunity for development within the company, it's highly encouraged, and there are many ways as an employee that you can do this successfully and really guide your own growth and development through the company. So we have some options for development planning. We do tuition reimbursement that allows you to get additional education if needed to pursue new opportunities. We have training partnerships and orientations that help our new hires onboard successfully into their new role. It's a big piece of what we do to make sure that once we set somebody up in a new position that they're given all of the tools, whether training or partnerships or mentors or even equipment to be able to be successful in doing their role on a daily basis. We also have some great benefits that I can tell you just an overview of. So on the health and well-being side, we have a variety of options that you can choose from, such as medical, dental, and vision plans. And then we also have several flexible spending accounts. And then on the financial security and more of the savings and retirement side, we do also have pay for performance bonus plans. We have a 401k and a cash balance pension plan. And then we also have some discounts on U.S. Bank products and services, as well as perks from other companies that you can look into once you get started with U.S. Bank, just as another added benefit of working with us. In terms of time away from work, because we all know that everyone, even if we love our job, we love our time away from work as well. So we have great options here. We have paid time away for everyone to take vacation. We have paid holidays for some of the major holidays, and we also have separate sick and safe leave in addition to that vacation time. On this slide, you can see a few other options as well that the company offers when it comes to time away from work and other paid ways that you would be able to take time off if you did need it. And I've mentioned a couple of times as a reoccurring theme just throughout these slides that one of the proudest things about U.S. Bank is that they love to have us as employees focus on giving back to our communities. So on this slide, you can see a couple of different pieces of information on how U.S. Bank has been involved in making a big difference through the U.S. Bank Foundation. And each year as an employee, we do get time off to volunteer and a volunteer portal that can help you find opportunities to be a part of giving back to your community as well and bring up some new options if you aren't already involved in opportunities to volunteer within your community. So now I want to take a couple of minutes and just explain to you and give some insight into what our recruiting process really looks like for U.S. Bank, just to help you be prepared should you apply for something and have a good understanding of what to expect going in. So all journeys into a new opportunity within U.S. Bank start with the applicant applying online through our website. So there'll be a link for that included at the end of this presentation that you can look at and visit. From there, once you've completed your application, and I will say too, please, when you do the application, make sure to include a contact number that's a good number for you or an email to make sure that we're able to get a hold of you for sure. Once you've completed that accurate application, the recruiter will then at that point review all applications, just looking for skill set, salary expectations, making sure that the applicant is qualified for the minimum qualifications for that role. And if all of those pieces are in line with the position, the recruiter will reach out and schedule a phone conversation. That phone conversation is really just meant to learn a little bit more, expand off of the resume, find out why you're interested and what your background looks like. And then if that phone screen has everything in line with expectations of the role, the next step would be being sent over to our hiring manager. if you are selected at that point to be one of kind of the top candidates to move forward into the interview with the hiring manager, this is where the more in-depth conversation will start. So learning more in depth what the hiring manager specifically has as far as expectations, any specific structures of this position, or a better understanding of what the day-to-day is. Once the hiring manager completes all of their interviews, they will look at figuring out who is the best person for the role and work with the recruiter to make that final selection. And then the recruiter at that point extends the offer out to the candidate. So all in all, the recruiting process with us can take about 6 to 8 weeks. And then on this slide, just to really help you be prepared for all of those phases, in order to best prepare, I definitely recommend looking up some information on the company. If you know specifically what the line of business is that you're working within, you can also look up information on that. And another great thing is to look up the person who's going to be interviewing you, whether it's the recruiter like myself or the hiring manager. Look us up on LinkedIn, look at our job experience, look at content that we recently shared. It's a great way to learn insight about the person that you're going to be chatting with, and maybe just even additional information about the company. And then once you get to that interview, really focus on being yourself and taking the time to tell your story about your experience through your examples. Take time to take a breath and really think through what answer you want to give that's going to be the best representation of your background. And also, I would say, come prepared with questions to ask your interviewer. It's a great way at both the phone screen and the interview step to just find out additional information about your interviewer and the company or the expectations of your position. Once that interview is completed, if you are selected, excellent, you'll learn more at that point about what's next in our onboarding process. And if you're not, another great thing to do is ask for feedback. It's always great to keep improving and working on practicing our interview skills, or honing even more on our experience if you have a goal specifically in mind for a role. And asking for feedback is the best and beginner way to begin that process of being able to have continuous improvement. And then this slide is just a contact email and our career website where you can go find out more information about us. On our career website, you are able to filter by state and job family, which is a really great way to help filter and look for specific opportunities that might be a good fit for you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I've just put the Careers Connect at usbank.com in the chat, and I had put the US Bank Careers URL in the chat too. For the sake of time, I'd ask if you could just address any questions in the chat as they're coming in. And we're going to keep on moving ahead so that we don't run out of time at the end. But I really like all of the emphasis on supporting the employees and giving back to the community for US Bank. That's fantastic to see. So thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Michelle Drenth and Kirk Keeney from Wells Fargo.
Excellent. Thanks, Liz. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. We're thrilled to be here on the call with so many other esteemed financial institutions in Minnesota. So glad to be included in that. Kirk and I are both going to talk a little bit about Wells Fargo. I'm going to start off and then I'm going to turn it over to him. And at first, we're just going to give you some background on Wells Fargo and talk about the company as a whole. And so the one of the first things, and am I advancing the slides, Liz, or are you?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll just keep on going.
There we go. You just keep on going. I'll keep talking right through them. There you go. So who we are a big financial services company. We're one of the big four in the United States. We have $1.9 trillion in assets. Now, I will tell you, I've been with Wells Fargo for a really long time, since they were Norwest. And one of the things that I was really wanted to do when I worked for Norwest and applied to start working there was work for a company that was headquartered where I lived. And I live in the Twin Cities. And Wells Fargo is no longer headquartered in the Twin Cities, although I will say this, you wouldn't know that. We have headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, in San Francisco, and at this point in New York City. But honestly, we have a really big presence in Minnesota, and Kirk's going to talk about that in just a moment. And I never feel like I'm out in the, in the middle of nowhere where my company doesn't know where I am or doesn't know what I'm doing. I feel very, very connected to the company. So even though we're that great big company who's not technically headquartered in Minnesota, we have a huge presence in Minnesota. Overall, in the United States, we serve 1 in 3 households. We have a ton of big company business as well. So we really serve everyone that you can think of who may have a banking account within the United States, and we serve customers overseas as well. So largely US customers who have holdings overseas, we serve them as well. We have all kinds of different products and services. So we've got 4 big operating segments. I'm from the consumer banking and lending part of the bank, and so that's the area that my team recruits for. I'm a recruiting manager. Kirk is from a different part of the bank, and so he'll talk about that in a little while as well. So we can go on to the next slide, Liz. Excellent. So 65 million customers. If you think about that, the population of the United States is in the 300 millions, 350 million, 340 million, somewhere around there. We serve a big chunk of those people. 32 million digital customers. And as people are talking about the pandemic and how all of that had an effect on, employment and the way we work and things like that, I will tell you that many more customers migrated to digital during the COVID pandemic because they couldn't come into our branches. And in some cases, branches may have been closed for a short time, or it may have been sort of essential for them to be able to contact us, and they still could, which was awesome. We have $125 billion worth of market value on our stock. Again, we're a big company, and that can be intimidating to people sometimes. Again, I've worked for Wells Fargo for a very long time, 27 years, and I will tell you that it doesn't feel like a big company. It just feels like a company with a lot of opportunity. And then you'll see we've got 26 million active mobile banking users. It's exciting to watch people. It's exciting to watch us as a company innovate and find ways to serve customers where and when they need to be served, so that people can be served any time of day, get questions answered, no matter when it is you have available as a customer, we can serve you, which has been really awesome. We have a couple of big focuses as a company. One of them is diversity, and another one is our economic empowerment, where we are really honing into underserved communities. We just had a great seminar actually with one of the people who was instrumental in the show Jim Crow in the North. And if that's not something you've seen, it was something that TPT produced here in the Twin Cities. It was wonderfully done. Very tragic story about the way people of color were treated in as with regard to home ownership. And one of the people who's really running that project came to Wells Fargo and spoke to us. And so we have all these opportunities to get involved in the community and hear more about what's going on. And then we also just announced carbon neutral by 2050. We were all laughing about, will any of us still be working in 2050? I kind of hope not. I was listening to Ray talk about retirement, and I hope I could be retired by then. But we are big into environmental sustainability as well, and always looking for ways to be very thoughtful about our impact on the environment. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kirk, who's going to tell you more about Wells Fargo in Minnesota.
Perfect. Can you hear me, Michelle?
Yep.
Thank you. And as you can see on the other slide up in front of you, I'll just cover the other right-hand side of the slide first. A lot of you are familiar with Wells Fargo. Oh, go forward one slide. There you go. Perfect. A lot of you are familiar with Wells Fargo. I'm certain we were actually here in the Twin Cities, Norwest Bank, long before we were Wells Fargo. And you can see on the right-hand side of the slide the history of both Northwest as well as Wells Fargo here in the Twin Cities. In 1998, Norwest merged with Wells Fargo to, as Michelle said, ultimately become the fourth largest banking institution in the country. When we merged with Wells Fargo, we moved our corporate headquarters out of Minneapolis. Norwest was based here. We moved our corporate headquarters out of Minneapolis into San Francisco. Again, as Michelle stated, we've since expanded. We acquired Wachovia a number of years ago now, which brought us a Charlotte presence, and with that Wachovia acquisition, also gained a fairly significant presence in New York City. So today, really, our 4 big locations are Minneapolis, Charlotte, New York, as well as San Francisco. But I want to spend most of my time talking about positions and kind of our employee population here in the Twin Cities. So you can see on this slide, I'm not going to cover each of these bullets, but we have 18,600 employees. That fluctuates. We've been right at or slightly under 20,000 employees statewide for as long as I've been with the bank, which is 15 years right now, and at 18,600. But that really spans a wide variety of businesses. Over the last couple of years, we've consolidated some businesses, but we really still are at, I think, 60 plus core businesses that we run under the Wells Fargo umbrella, and we operate many of those here in the Twin Cities. So although we have 145 branch locations, which is really what we're known for. If you go down the street, you see a Wells Fargo branch location. That is truly where a lot of the employees here in Minnesota sit, are in banker, in teller roles, in financial advisor positions that might sit in those branch locations. But we also have some very large operation centers, especially in Minneapolis. We have our home mortgage business, which has a significant presence here in the Twin Cities, just south of Minneapolis. We also have a large technology group that's headquartered here in Minneapolis. We have our corporate banking business, as well as our commercial banking business that has a significant presence downtown, actually in the Wells Fargo Tower. And then we have our new buildings over by the Viking stadiums, where we have a number of individuals across our corporate functions, as well as truly a hodgepodge of businesses. We can fit more than 4,000 people in those businesses right next to the stadium. Today, there are not 4,000 people sitting there, but I'm certain there will be again at some point soon, hopefully. So lots of opportunities here in the Twin Cities. Go back one more second. I apologize. I'm perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to highlight, just our significant presence, not just in employment, in our employee population here in the Twin Cities, but also in some of our investment that we have here in the Twin Cities. $5 billion with more than 21,000 home mortgages that are held here in the state. $713 million worth of loans to 14,000 small businesses. So we truly have a very expansive presence, not just from an employee population, but also from a consumer population. We are very well invested here in the Twin Cities. And Michelle touched on this before, but philanthropy and being a fantastic corporate citizen is a big part of what Wells Fargo stands for. We donate more than $13 million a year to Minnesota nonprofits. That's not national, that's just Minnesota nonprofits. And you can see that last year spanned, or 2019 rather, spanned across 486 grants. So if you want to go to the next slide. So these are some of our kudos or pats on the back that we give ourselves, but we're definitely out in the industry, holding a top position or oftentimes a top 10 position in a lot of the areas that we focus. You can see some of the different kind of headlines that we've made over the last couple of years. 13th most valuable brand in the United States, 5th most valuable banking brand in the world, most valuable banking brand in the United States. So we are definitely a significant presence in the financial services industry, not just here, not just in other markets where we focus, but really on a national and international basis. I want to move forward to the next slide. We constantly are talking about here at Wells Fargo diversity and trying to improve the diverse makeup of our employee population, but also trying to encourage the employees that we do have to be active in the communities that they live in, and trying to get individuals connected with different affinity groups, both within the community, but also employee-sponsored or employee-based affinity groups here at Wells Fargo. We do a good job, again, of capturing some national recognition with the other work that we do. You can see, again, some accolades on the right-hand side, but we definitely want to focus and point out that at Wells Fargo, prides itself on the work that we do in the community around diversity, the hiring practices that we have that focus on diversity, and again, some of that comes with recognition based on the work that we're doing.
We're running a little short on time, so maybe
Yeah.
just a minute or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you flip through the next slide? We'll accelerate this here. So I do want to point out, and that's fine, you can land here. You can go out to two sites, the Wells Fargo job site that is listed there, or wellsfargo.com/careers. Either one will get you to our careers page. Wells Fargo Jobs is a little bit more of an expansive site, so that's the link that we provided there. I definitely would recommend going out there. It has tools not just for searching for opportunities here at Wells Fargo, but also has some general career search tools that you can certainly take advantage of, and you can explore the different businesses that are here at Wells Fargo. If you go to wellsfargo.com/careers, this is more of a tactical page, but a very important page. This will land you on the site where you can actually search for positions here at Wells Fargo. Use that keyword box, or you can use some of the different options down below. And if you go to the next slide, and this is the last slide. Perfect. In that search box, back one, I'm sorry. I forgot about this side. Thank you. If in that search box with the asterisk next to it, you can name or identify a search that you want to save. So if in the search box on the previous slide you type in a keyword string, you can actually save that, and then you can put in your email address, and for up to 90 days, anytime a position comes open that matches that search string that you entered. So if you typed in business banking and treasury management, it would send you any position that comes open in treasury management or business banking or contains any of those keywords. So just a cool tool that'll allow you to stay on top of open positions here at Wells Fargo that relate to opportunities that you might be looking for. So I will stop there for the sake of time, but this lists both contact information as well as the Wells Fargo jobs site that I highly encourage everybody to go out and visit.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry to cut this off. I had no idea when I was planning this that there'd be so much to cover from all four of you, but we do need to move on. I posted one question that was coming in to me privately from someone on the group about age. Do you hire people, that may be a little older that has a lot of experience? So rather than get into the answer now, if you could just type in the answer in the question, and then I might be able to put some of these answers in the reply when I send out the slides to all of you. Oops, tomorrow morning. Thank you. I really am so glad to have all of you on this call, all four of the organizations. And, you can see with the breadth of everything that the financial organizations do, you can see why Deed's labor market numbers really play out. That Minnesota is really a hub per capita for this industry. Just want to let you know that there are so many more companies that are hiring besides them. Please direct your applications to the four people that have been on today. But if for some reason you want to look around too, I did some digging in minnesotaworks.net and came up with all of these companies. I just did this yesterday. So these are all really new. Alaris, American National Insurance, Deloitte, Bank of America, Thrivent, Wings Financial Credit Union, Midwest One Bank. There really are a lot of hiring, a lot of openings, and a lot of hiring going on right now. And also, you can also find that job search bar on careerforcemn.com. Scroll down to the gray area where it says job search. The Minnesota Works database and the job search area on Careerforce MN are powered by the same database. It's one and the same. It's just two different websites that can get you to that same place. I do want to make sure that all of you are on the call, that you realize So many virtual hiring and in-person interviewing events that are going on. So tomorrow, March 17th, the North Metro area, sponsored by the Anoka Blaine Career Force location, they're having an online virtual career fair. So you can see the information there, anokacounty.easyvirtualfair.com and or pre-register through careerforcemn.com/Blaine. So they have a lot of companies that are participating in that event. March 18th, Thursday, I'm hosting another virtual career fair on Thursday morning for St. Cloud area companies. As far south as Elk River up to Cold Spring, St. Cloud. And we will also be doing another one with different St. Cloud companies on March 25th. Register through the Career Force site. Next week, Explore Careers, March 23rd, government hiring. I'm working on getting 5 different government, whether it's state or federal or county people to talk about all of the companies that are hiring for that. And then in April, all 4 Explore Career sites episodes will be surrounding tech. IT jobs, tech month. So it's going to be a really exciting month to really focus in on all of those opportunities. More coming. Oh my gosh. There are companies that are hiring daily and they're having on-site events. One company in St. Cloud is having donuts and driving where you can try out one of their school buses while eating donuts, probably not at the same time. But all of these are listed on our career fair calendar. Go to careerforcemn.com, scroll down to events, view more events, and I can say that at least 1 or 2 events are being added to this every day. So there's a lot going on. Please let us help you on your job search and reach out to me anytime, liz.jennings@state.mn.us, and let us help you. So thank you very much for being on this call. Thank you to Western and Southern, US Bank, Wells Fargo, and Principal Financial Group. Take care. See you next week.